producers made us both believe that that was literally the chances of us continuing together was pretty high.
Was there ever a stage where you wanted to tell any of the other brides?
Oh yeah, many times. Many times I wanted to, just talk to anybody, but I wasn't allowed to. And I think was the main thing for me was also not, having to put any of the girls in that position of having to know something like that and having to deal with all the heat that I'm dealing with now.
We get to the big reveal now. Iconic television. Whose idea was that to announce your romance in that way?
In short, it was something that we both wanted to do pretty early on. But there were definitely people behind the scenes that didn't want it to come out when it did, but would rather it continue on as long as possible, to be honest, because it's just better for TV, I guess. But in turn, it's really bad for us. And we didn't want that. We already knew the heat was coming and we wanted to just try and face it sooner than later.
We tried on multiple occasions and to come clean, and yeah, we were told at some stage that they wanted to save it for the reunion, and we're like, no, that's not happening. That's not how things are gonna go.
The reason we came in so late at that reunion, that commitment ceremony, is because we legitimately were like on strike, and we stormed in. Obviously, it was planned to come in, but no one in the room knew. The experts, no one actually knew except people behind the scenes, like the producers actually knew.
So it was genuine. None of the contestants, none of the experts knew. Their shock was real.
The shock was real.
They wanted to catch the real, facial expressions and all of that. So the experts had no idea about it. And all the other, cast as well, no one knew about it. That's the day we're coming clean today. We're not dragging this on any longer. It has to happen today. And then we just put a foot down and they're like, okay.
Well, they definitely weren't like, okay, but.
Well, yeah, not straight away, but yeah, so they let us break in. And obviously we're under the impression that we would be given the chance of continuing together because so many other couples have. I don't think there has ever been a couple that asked to continue and they were told no. So.
I know why though. One, it was too late in the season. Sort of. Maybe that's a tiny bit. But two, they've copped so much heat and they knew they were going to cop a lot of heat with this season because there's a lot of big factors. So if they had us continue on together, wasn't there petitions written and stuff because of cheaters last season? So they just didn't want the potential heat of that. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? But yeah, the reality is it wasn't easy to get it to come clean that soon. If it was up to them, it would be the reunion.
Yeah. Well, did the producers ever give you any indication that you would be allowed back in the experiment, or was it you guys were just kind of going off past experiences?
Yes, no, they did. So the producers made us both believe that that was literally the chances of us continuing together was pretty high. And because it has happened in previous seasons that we had no, a clue that it could possibly be no, you're not allowed in. So
do you think you would have worked as a couple if you were joined together from the start?
It would have been chaos. They would have, because they're so good at just making people clash. They would have made us clash for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, it would have been much harder for sure.
Mm.
Well, also the mass walkout as well during that reveal. Was that expected?
No, not at all. Well, we didn't expect that everyone would be like, oh yay. But yeah, we definitely didn't expect everyone was just going to get up and walk out of the room.
And I mean, there's so much to unpack with the boys and girls night. Carolina, I'll start with you. How was that?
Oh, girls night for me, it was easy. The girls were I didn't think it was as bad as it was for Daniel. The girls are a lot more understanding, I guess. Tamara had a bit of, issue with the message that I sent to Dion. So I had sent a message to Dion just sort of just saying no hard feelings. I wish you the best. It was just a TV show. And Dion didn't like the message. Not sure why. And he just carried on with his narrative of poor me. awful message when I when I'm basically apologizing, and showed some of the other contestants. So Tamara had a bit of like an opinion about the message, and and said something about it. But I guess that was the only hit that was for me on that night. Everyone, I said, well, Daniel and I stood together. We're doing great, and everyone was like, well, I guess what can we do then? So all the girls were pretty understanding.
Were you nervous about meeting Jessica at all? Or not meeting her, but just seeing her again after all that had happened?
So I guess with Jess, she had life's experiment. She didn't want anything to do with Daniel anyway, so I knew she wasn't going to be cut or anything. And it didn't show our real conversation because when we were talking, who was that? I think it was Tamara and Celine were literally yelling at each other. So kind of like they couldn't use that footage. So Jess and I had a 2 minutes conversation when she was like, oh, girl, that's all good. You go for it.
And it seems like you guys are close friends now. I mean, I saw photos of you guys kissing last weekend. Is there a story there?
Yeah, so Jess I think she was like my first and closest friend out of like the MAFS experience. We kind of, because we came as intruders. So I think the first commitment ceremony, when we were waiting in the back to go film, we kind of hang out together, but they watch us as well. So because Jess, Kate, and myself were the intruders, we kind of like a little bit of left out because the other girls already like bonded and they were already friends and stuff. So we were like talking to each other a lot, and we all us three were in the same kind of position. We didn't like our husbands. We were not happy with the person that we were matched with, so we were bonding over that as well. So yeah, so I think we don't get to see any of that, but we were friends from day one. So she was very understanding. She didn't care at all.
Is that weird for you, Daniel, at all? Like Carolina being so close with your ex?
Nah, because the reality is behind the scenes, we're not like I'm not at least like the rest. They you get stuck into this narrative like this is a marriage, this is real, and the mask comes off and filming stops. But me and Jess, just plain and simply, we just didn't get along like that. We just didn't connect like that. And now, like, her and Jess get along really well, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Have you two obviously spoken things out? Are you friends now, I guess?
We haven't spoken much, but I know we're both civil. We're both on the same level. It's all good.
And then talking about the boys' night as well, that was really intense. Was it as heated in real life as it appeared on TV?
Oh, it was more heated in real life. It was way more hectic in real life. Yeah, I walked in, I didn't know what to expect. And I had a producer that I'd never had before, and he's like, Daniel, when you go in there, these guys, go give them a piece of your mind, tell them what's up. Like really trying to wind me up. And I was like, oh man, I'm just chilling.
That was my producer for the whole experiment. He's very good, actually.
Yeah, believe it or not, the producers are very, very good at getting you to behave in a certain way. And people are like, oh, you're blaming the edit producer. No. Trust me, they're good. Otherwise they wouldn't have the job. But yeah, it was heated as hell.
And then now we come to the reunion dinner party. Tell me everything. You were kind of segregated from the group almost.
And I think they did it intentionally. Usually at the dinner table, they'll put names for certain positions, but they knew by this point alliances have already been formed. So when they said everyone to the dinner table, people just ran into their groups. And we were like, oh, I'll just walk over. And by that point, we were in the very corner. You have no idea. These people are like animals towards us, like just with the words of hate and names calling. So by that point, we're just like, whatever, we're just chilling. Say what you want. And there was a lot that you didn't get seen. There was proper arguments that went on. But yeah, that's why, this smug attitude. It was either we kind of just say whatever, see, like we don't give a shit, or we sit there and cry. It's one or the other because people are savage.
And at that point, we're like not walking in alone. We kind of have each other to, support. And so we were just like, oh, come at us. We come straight back at you.
There was one major moment that was cut out as well, right before the ad break. What did you yell at them, Daniel?
Oh, look, by that point, yeah, like I said, there was yelling back and forth. And if I'm completely honest, it was about Bryce from last season. They're going, there's a mole in the group. Someone's speaking to Bryce. And then they said, there's a mole in the group. Somebody's speaking to a paparazzi. And this particular paparazzi, I know everyone in the group was speaking to. So they're like pointing the fingers at us. And I just said, you're all fakers. every single one of you in your DMs have this person in your DMs, 100%. By that point, I was like, man, well, I'm in a relationship. I don't need any of you guys. So yeah, just give it straight back.
What were the other major moments from the dinner party that we missed?
There's a particular part because we were sitting there, I was like, this is kind of boring because it actually was pretty boring. Like, it goes for hours, nothing really happens, bit of arguing. And I got called outside to essentially say, if you think it's boring, because we're all wearing mics, they're listening. If you think it's boring, go on, stir it up, stir some drama, go talk to Mitch, go do that. And I was like, oh, all right. And that's when I came back and Carolyn was like, oh, what happened? I was like, oh, I have to cause drama or some shit. And she's like, do you mind if I cause drama? And they just show that part.
And then it sounds like I'm the
drama queen.
Yeah.
What is your relationship like now with all the other brides and grooms?
Olivia and Jackson, team Olivia straight up, but I love Olivia and Jackson.
Yeah, we're pretty close to Olivia and Jackson. I'm obviously still good friends with Tamara, Jess, Kate, so Sam.
Like, we hung out with Cody. I was with Cody. He seems cool as outside of MAFS world. There's two very different things, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is like a big divide within the group now. I feel like every other season there's a bunch of groups, whereas this one it's very much one side or the other.
And mark this, someone timestamp this. In 6 months' time, people are swapping, friends aren't friends. Mark this time, right? Mark this, because it's so much fakery, man.